All right, it looks like we're live. This is my first time using YouTube live channel to kind of see this forum for this. So we're just going to kind of experiment together. I'm not even sure anybody is on here yet with me. If you do join in, just like shoot a message so I can hopefully see it at the bottom here and know if somebody's in here watching live as we're doing this. If not, I know some of you guys had messaged me that you're going to watch this later. So welcome, hello. My name is Lindsay. You guys see me on the YouTube site quite a bit. I run the channel on here and run the demonstrations, material samples, and things like that for Peak ABA on our YouTube channel. And then sometimes you guys also see me on Instagram. I also kind of help facilitate that too for material samples, different blurbs for conferences that are coming out or trainings, different things that Peak is doing. So definitely try and tune into both of those. And then Facebook, we have some really great training forums and things like that on there as well for you to definitely join and keep an eye out. Ask questions. There's so many of you guys out there, I know, using Peak right now, trying to navigate it. Some of you guys have been to training, some of you have not yet. And so that's great. I definitely would recommend, if you haven't yet, to try and do that Peak Level 1 training as soon as it comes out. I think they're working on an online method for it that should come out in May, which is super exciting. And then I know they just did their first experiential training for Peak Level 2 certifications. And I know there's a couple, I'll just go and talk about these really quick, that there's the one in Jekyll Island, sorry, in Georgia at the end of July, beginning of August, one in Seattle in October, and then I think New York City in November. So those will be super, super cool, hands-on. You'll be running a lot more of the pre-assessment stuff, I think, working through the programs with each other, and hopefully, you know, learning a lot in that capacity, which is super neat to be a more hands-on component for that level 2 piece. So that should, I think, more announcements coming out in May, I hear. So that's kind of exciting. But basically, I started this because I've just seen a lot of people with questions on the Facebook forums, which is super great. I know sometimes they get answered, sometimes they may get a little lost in the feed, or you might need a little help with direction as far as kind of who to reach out to get some of these answers. So I just kind of wanted to use this as an opportunity for you guys to get on. You can definitely shoot me questions live on here and I can try and answer them that way. If I'm not able to answer them here on the spot, I will jot them down and try and get you an answer. And you know, you can get a hold of me on here as well to follow up and hopefully give you guys some information that you might be needing. I mean, I'm definitely just kind of talking for the time being. I know there's maybe a couple of people on here, so feel free to say hello and comment just so that I can kind of see how the commenting section is going to work on this and if it'll work well for like live questions. But I basically, let's see. Oh, I see somebody wrote, do you do program, I'm guessing demonstrations is what they maybe meant. So on here I definitely can. If you guys have a program that you're wanting to work through, I can either kind of prep it and run it for you guys live next Tuesday. I'm hoping to do this every week with you guys if there's enough interest and people are needing things done. If you're looking for demonstrations, yep, that's what she meant, definitely check out the YouTube channel. So we put a lot of the demos up on there. I actually have a taping scheduled for this coming Thursday with a couple of the other Peak girls that are going to kind of help me out and get some of these ran for you guys. I know you guys have shot me, you know, some definite requests for programs that you guys want to see on there. Sometimes they might be hard for me on the fly to kind of prep for you guys, but I definitely have them on a list and I'm trying to get to them. Oh, what time next week so I can share? Okay, so I'm hoping to do this the same time. If this time ends up being super inconvenient for the majority that are trying to get on here, I can definitely adjust. But I was planning on doing it again 7 o'clock Central Time PM, excuse me, every Tuesday. And I will definitely post a reminder. I'm learning more about YouTube Live. I think that I can even set reminders and kind of pre-post a thumbnail so that you guys know it's coming. You can set reminders on the channel, it looks like. And then I'm almost positive after these are done, I'm going to run them for like an hour. We'll see tonight. Might not go quite as long depending on if there's not a lot going on. But you should be able to rewatch them back. So that'll be really great too. So if we kind of get some momentum with like, hey, this is what I want to see next Tuesday and we're running it, then you should be able to share these out, review them. I'll be able to review them and kind of see how to improve things for you guys too. But this is basically a forum for you guys. This is just a live opportunity for you guys to shoot questions out there. I can try and answer them on the fly. Or I will, try and kind of help you guys come to some sort of answer resolution for things. I think the most common questions that I'm seeing on the forum, besides just like, how do I run this or what material should I use for this, is kind of figuring out the scoring system. So I know you guys have seen they have like the scoring key in each of the modules, which is super helpful. And I use that as a great guideline. I've seen people asking questions about, using errorless prompting, and typically we try and go from least to most prompting strategies and not using that errorless teaching if possible. So I try and show that in a lot of the demos where we're kind of using that least to most. Usually we'll kind of do the instruction or ask the question, whatever it might be, and then if they get it right, they're at a 10. Let's see. Okay, hold on. I'm going to stop. In the equivalence module, the beginning programs are stated with an SD. Let me see if I can get these. Oh, here we go. Okay. In the equivalence module, the beginning programs are stated with an SD. Was that the same? My kiddos are not able to understand the concept of same or different. Okay, so I have definitely had this problem with another kiddo and participant. So they just repeat same. Okay. So a couple different things. You might have to do kind of like a pre-teacher and aside on what same and different really means. So for some of our participants, we've even kind of created, you can do it if you want to take data and track it, or we just kind of do it as a practice component. I don't have any handy, but like basically you would pretend you'd have 2 white cards and 2 black cards. And you would touch one or tap one or pick one up, and you'd have them show same, show different, show opposite. You kind of just rotating that verbiage around with them and trying to get them used to running through that pretty fluidly and teaching them, okay, same is white. The same as white is white, the same as black is black. You could use it with other colored cards and things, but just a very simple task that you're kind of teaching that foundational skill. For same and different and opposite, we've done it before. So those are kind of some ideas to kind of help with that. Within the program itself, I was kind of talking about the prompting strategies. So if you're doing something that's the same, you're just going to try and prompt them through it. Hopefully they'll eventually start understanding the concept of same during those training blocks. That's where you can really talk to them a lot about it, give them a lot of praise, a lot of reinforcement when they're getting those things correct, and really shape it during those train components so that you can, kind of transfer that over to the test piece with the stimuli you guys are using. So that's what I would kind of recommend. I hope that kind of helps answer that question, but you could make a direct program. You could even make a generalization program and kind of work on it that way. Okay, so this is a good question. I've seen this one before, the 7J, the abstraction. Sorry, I'm not used to doing this live and looking at these comments, so I'm sorry I'm kind of fumbling over this. So Caitlin asked about 7J abstraction by feature. It says to lay out 10 cards with the common sorry, I'm not doing well with that. Okay, with common feature and some with not, and then you point. Okay, so I actually have this one. I will have it up this week that I have to run live for you guys. But basically, it's going to be kind of hard for me to explain without like really showing it. So if you have like your 10 cards laying out, you're going to have the participant, sit across from it, and you're going to go, okay, look at this, yes or let me think, how do I do this? For the abstraction one, I think you're going to say like wings, and you're going to tap it, and you're going to say yes or no, and they're going to either say yes or no, and you're going to prompt through the yes or no's for all 10 cards. When you see that they're starting to get them right, then you're going to say, do you know the common feature? And so then once you get that, then you would say, okay, well, what is the feature? But I have this one coming live, so I think it's going to do a lot better if I just wait, get that demo up. I will post on Instagram and I will post on Facebook because I know this is one I've had a lot of questions about. It's kind of hard for me to talk through though without you seeing it. But basically you're prompting yes, no all the way through until they start picking up speed on answering yes or no correctly, because some are going to be distractors, some are going to have the feature, and then you're going to say, okay, have you figured it out? Do you know what the common feature is? These are the ones you said yes to. What is the feature? You might not even have to get through all 10 cards. As you're getting closer to mastery, you might only have to hit 2 and they're like yes, no, and then they already have figured it out. Okay, you have to train it on Friday. Okay, great. I'll have it for you really, really soon. I think I saw another comment post. Sorry, guys. This is not... Okay, it has taken 2 of my students all the school year to learn if the pictures are the same. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. That was Kathy. So, yeah, it definitely can be tricky teaching some of those concepts, but don't be afraid to kind of break them down if you have to and create some of your own programs. I know you guys see the stuff on YouTube that we're doing, and I want you to also understand that that is not by all means the only way to run these programs. The stimuli should be varied and individualized depending on the participant, how they need to be prompted, their level of foundational skills, kind of where they're testing out on the assessments, things that interest them, that kind of get them excited. I mean, we have participants that are so excited to use Peak that I can literally lay out all the programs on like a sidewall and be like, okay, go get the first game, let's play this, and then we get into it. So just really have fun with this stuff. I am kind of a junkie with it. I think it's super fun to be creative and individualize it for everybody. I know it's much harder when you have a large caseload that you guys are trying to get through or you're working in the classroom. But don't be afraid to just kind of look online for some of these ideas that we have on YouTube and Instagram and just cater them to what you need them to be. Running the programs themselves, we try to stay pretty true to obviously how they're written in the book, but you will see we have some variations. Like I just put up you and I think I have 2 different versions of that, 2 different versions of block arrangements, and that's just to show you, depending on the participant, you might have to run it a different way, or we've even tried certain stimuli and it just hasn't worked well. Like it just seemed like a brilliant idea. We did block arrangement with some magnetiles. They kept collapsing. It was just complete torture for everybody. So we had to scrap it and move to a different route. So definitely don't get discouraged. And hopefully, you guys are doing good with the Peak programming. I don't really see any other questions up here right now. I'm just going to kind of go through like some other common questions and things that I've been seeing. So people have been asking about the conversion tables for Equivalence. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you guys are finding those YouTube demos helpful. Yeah, we definitely try and pick those ones that are kind of irking people enough that they really need to see this stuff, live and in person and in a demonstration. But definitely if you sent me a message and I haven't gotten to it yet, don't fret. I promise it is on the list. I'm trying to get them done. It just kind of depends on timing and then getting them all edited and put up there for you guys. But please keep sending me which ones you need to see. And I will try and make them a priority and get them on the channel pretty quick. So other questions that I've kind of seen on there is about the conversion tables for equivalence and transformation and some of the age norms and things for that. So the equivalence and transformation, the interpretive worksheets are found in each of the books for the modules. And then the age norms for direct and generalization are out there and on the website, but I think that they are still working on equivalence and transformation. I'll hopefully have some updates about those soon because I know there have been a lot of questions about that. Trying to think if you guys have any other questions. I've seen some stuff about direct and generalization and if there's age ranges for specific programs. And again, you're going to want to use those factors and look at the age norms to help you guide through it. And then you're going to go in the order of the factors, go from the first all the way to the last. And if they're scattered, just do the best you can to prioritize the ones that are most behind the age norms and kind of work from there to build the foundation for that participant. But those are just kind of some of the recent questions that I've seen on there. I think there's maybe 7 of you on here right now, and this first one may not be super long just because I don't have a ton of content planned for you guys today. I just really wanted to give you guys an opportunity to let me know what you want to see on here. I have a question about PD 90. I spy something else. Let me look at this real quick. Okay, so this person's asking about in the transformation program 90, I spy something else. Do you consider opposites incorrect for distinction programs? Okay, let me look at this. You said 90. Sorry, I have to actually reference my book. Unfortunately, I do not have all of these totally in memory. Let's see here. Just want to make sure nothing else is popping up real quick. Okay, so I spy something else. You're going to use common items. When presenting an item, ask what is something different. I mean, I definitely think that you're going to pick, so you have your stimuli B, you're going to be, or your class for materials needed says different items from A. You can definitely use things that are opposite than those common items, because look, let's see. I'm trying to see what they have for their example class. Present a pencil, ask what is something different. Present a chair, ask what is something different. So that's B to A. So, I mean, if you look at their samples, they don't really have opposites listed. It is just something that's different. I definitely think that if it happens to be an opposite, it is different. So I would think that that's still completely applicable. I just kind of try and use this as a guide to the best of my ability. I think opposites are definitely pretty easy to get off of here, but I think if you just focus on different items and then use those identical items for Y, you should be set to go. So hopefully that answered your question. I think if it's an opposite, technically you're fine. But I would try and really focus on something different. Because I think, too, if you think about your assessments when you run them, I think they're pretty specific on there also about, you know, when you're targeting something that's different, when you're targeting something that's the same, when you're targeting something that's the opposite. So I do try and keep that kind of in mind just to keep your participants prepped for those assessments. By all means, you do not want to directly teach anything off the assessment because that's, I mean, kind of cheating in a sense. But I think that you want to keep in mind what some of your goals are, what some of these programs are really targeting, and just trying to kind of stick in that guideline the best you can and then kind of taking your creativity from there. See if there's any other questions. Hopefully that helped. I don't even know who asked that question, but please feel free to keep challenging me if that was not enough of an answer for you. I will not take it personally. I'm still kind of new at this live chat and answering on the spot. So just be patient, but I need the feedback too. So let me know if you need more. Trying to think of what else I've seen on the sites. I think we talked a little bit. Let's see, can you talk about 9L? Who's missing? Okay, hold on, I gotta get this out. Generalization 9L. But what I was going to say about the scoring piece too that I was talking about earlier is just to really make sure you're sitting down with your team that's working with the participant and kind of come up with too what you guys clinically are deciding each of the scoring pieces to be. So a lot of times on our team, you know, 10 is obviously completely independent. You just present the SD, the instruction, the direction, whatever it is, and they nail it. 10, great. Usually for us, an 8 is just trying again. Just start it again, repeat everything, represent everything, kind of clean slate, just try it again and see if you can get it that way. If that isn't enough, then like I said, we kind of go to that least to most prompting strategy where we are trying to prompt through the rest of it. And then a 2 is just a plain like you had to give them the answer, or it was like 3 and above prompts. So again, you can kind of sit through and define that a little bit better depending on the program and what else you need to know for it. Okay, 9L abstraction, guess who? Okay. Let me see if there was like a specific question or just in general. All right, can you talk about just, so the who's missing game. Okay, so it looks like you're just going to need pictures of different people. I mean, some of the stuff you might get from the Guess Who game itself, a lot of times I just get on Google and pull stuff off, laminate it, make it all uniformed, and go from there. Have the participant ask if the target person has a specific feature. Require the participant to flip over the cards that are eliminated until they find the target. Oh wait, so this is basically like your traditional Guess Who game. So you would lay out however many cards, and again, this is going to pretend on your participant. I feel like if I'm working with a 4 or 5-year-old, I'm probably going to start at like 5 cards. If you're dealing with a very efficient pro at this, you might kind of work your way up, and as you kind of do those different levels and move through them that way, then you can definitely increase your number. So let's just make it easy and say you're starting with 5 pictures. So you're going to, in your mind, secretly pick which your target is, and that would be what is on your train and your test side. So like train might be, you know, girl number 1 with glasses. Will this video be saved? Yes, it should be saved. It should, once I click off, I'm pretty sure it's just going to pop right into the YouTube channel and you can look back at them, refer to things. And then on here too, I know you can send me messages. I will say I don't always notice them on here as much. I would probably say your best bet is either to shoot me a message through Instagram, through the PKBA Instagram site, or to hop over to the forum on Facebook and message me that way. And I can definitely give you guys my email too, and that's a really quick way too. Okay, so for training, you might have a girl 1 with glasses. Test, you might have like old man with beard. Whatever your targets are, you might be able to just code them that way. And then you're going to have them all facing up. You're going to randomly just pick one in your mind. And then you're going to have the participant ask you what the specific feature is. So they might say, have the participant ask if the target person has a specific feature. So you're going to maybe prompt them if needed to say, does this person have glasses? And you would either answer yes or no. And then depending on what that answer is, then you're going to prompt them to flip over the card. So it's kind of, I think, like one game, one select person per stimuli. Oh. Right. So you're not going to get the test items by prompting. You're going to get the test items on a generalization program. You're going to randomize them. So if I have my 10 block for generalization, I'm going to stagger them. So I might do 1, then 16, then 2, then 17, then 1, then 2, then 16, then 17. I'm going to fill up a block, but I might strategize about how I can put those train stimuli ahead of my test stimuli to try and get them to transfer. And then you can kind of strategize as you go as the skill starts to get stronger and stronger. So for the first one, if this is a brand new task, I would probably not start with a test stimuli because you're not going to be able to help them. It's a pure test of do they know it or do they not know it? I'm pretty sure my cat just sneaked in here. Sorry if my cat jumps on here. So I would definitely start with one of your train stimuli. Then you can prompt, you can reinforce, you can try and teach them as much as you can before you move to that test stimuli. So if number 1 is girl with glasses and you have all your 5 picture cards, you know, set up or whatever, and you're like, okay, ask me a question, ask me about a feature, whatever it is that you can prompt them, then they might say, okay, does the person have glasses? Or you can point to something on the card, point to a feature, and have them ask you about that. And then you can kind of go from there and toggle back and forth between the train and the test. Email or word, awesome. Oh yeah, okay, so my email is my name, Lindsey Holtzman. It's Lindsey Holtzman, HOLTSMAN @gmail.com. So yeah, totally. Feel free to email me anytime. Sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth between answering for this 9L one. So sorry, I'm kind of a little scattered with my answer. So then when you would move to test, you would not be able to prompt them. But how are you getting the client? Right, you're not going to be able to. So yeah, you're not going to be able to prompt the question out of them. You're really going to have to focus on those train stimuli and prompt and show them what they need to do during that train time. Because when you move to test, it's just a complete test of are they understanding how to play the game and are they understanding. So your goal is when presented with an array of pictures, the participant will determine the target person by asking questions about features. So there might be something where you might have to make accommodations depending on the participant. So, I mean, ideally, you're going to want to purely go through this and say, you know, maybe start by telling them, you need to ask me a question about the cards. Look at the features. Where's a feature you could ask me about and point to it during train. So that hopefully during that test period, when you have the 5 cards laid out, there isn't really an instruction or anything that you say during this one. The presentation of those cards is kind of their cue to be like, okay, it's time to start. Let me try and ask some of these questions. So you might have to make some sort of accommodation for this one if needed, where you guys clinically decide, okay, we need to ask them, you know, what's the person that we need? So can you... Okay, so that's a good question about weighing your train and test trials. I mean, I think that you definitely can go totally random. I a lot of times strategize where I have some of those train back to back. So on some of these more challenging ones, if I have 1 and 2 train stimuli and 16 and 17 test stimuli, I might run 1, 2, 1, 2 before I even start going to a test on a block like this. So then that gives you 4 opportunities to train this, to teach it, to reinforce it before you move to the test. Also understand too, some of these programs are not going to be a quick mastery. I mean, some of these can take 6 months. Some of them you probe out really fast and then you can move on to the next. So definitely don't feel like there's a certain timeline for some of these. There are definitely programs that are in here that you're going to have to work a lot longer at. You're also, like I said, going to want to strategize where you might run 4 train before you move into the test. Ideally, I like to try and kind of keep it pretty equal for the most part. On some of these, like 9L might be a little more challenging for your participants, so you might have it weight a little bit more on the train side. You know, and because you have 4 different stimuli, you know, you're going to run each of them twice, and then you're going to have 2 bonus. So I would maybe make those 2 extras to kind of fill in your block of 10 a train trial so that you can really, like I said, start teaching and reinforcing it. And then as I start to move to mastery, then I kind of also challenge myself, like, okay, does this kiddo or does this participant really know it? And when I'm getting close to mastery, I might run 16-17, 16-17, or start with a test sort of thing to be like, hey, do they really know this? Or is this, again, more based on my prompting and reinforcing that's kind of built in there? But again, that's what's like really cool about Peak, I think. Just I'll kind of talk on here since like nobody has any questions. Like I've been doing ABA for a very long time. Well, I shouldn't say a very long time. There's probably some of you who've been doing it longer than I have, but I feel like I've been doing it for about 8 years. And this kind of like answered my question of like all the issues that I kind of had with ABA programming. I kind of felt like I was teaching all these kids this rote memorization piece for a lot of things, and I couldn't really tell a lot of times if they fully had the concept. Some things were generalizing, some things weren't. But this programming, I feel like for me at least as an implementer and a technician, has just really helped me solidify the skills that I'm teaching these kiddos. I'm seeing the IQ scores increase in particular with other testing that's getting done. And I know there's a lot of great research articles and evidence-based stuff out there on Peak right now. So, I mean, I think that's all really, really cool to be staying up to date on also. Just because I feel like as an implementer and somebody using this programming, I try and understand and have as much knowledge about the foundation of it, how it was created, why it was created, what it's doing for people, as much as I can, just so that I can be a better implementer. It helps one of my clients to have more train trials at first, but I didn't want to manipulate the program. Yeah, no, you're definitely not. I mean, that's kind of your artistic spin on some of this stuff. There's definitely obviously the standardization piece to a lot of this. They're working on standardizing the pre-assessments. Those should be out pretty soon. But I think you'll even see, like, on our YouTube channel, it is kind of an art form. You kind of have to feel it out. You kind of have to individualize it for that participant, and how you're going to stagger it for your train and test stimuli within a generalization block. Things like that are going to be very unique to your participant, and very clinical discussion with your team as far as what is needed to kind of make this the most successful for you guys. So definitely keep that stuff in mind, that this is not a one-size-fit-all for what you're going to see on YouTube. There are definitely different ways of implementing this within kind of the structure that's there. Okay, so hopefully, I just saw Dixon's presentation. I know, right? Yeah, Dixon's awesome. I've had a lot of opportunities to do different projects with him, and yeah, he is definitely, if you get a chance to see him, go to his trainings, and he does a lot of AIM stuff. Definitely try and be a part of all of those things as much as possible, and just kind of keep pushing yourself as individuals. Dr. Megan Miller is another one that does a lot of the Peak training, and she has a Do Better movement right now that's going on Facebook that I think is really great for implementers and people working in the field to kind of check out, and just to keep pushing ourselves to do better, to be better implementers, to be better professionals, everything like that. So I know I definitely am trying to push myself, so I hope you all are doing the same. Trying to see if I missed anything on here. Okay, so I think I'm caught up on all of these. But yeah, I think it's just very important to remember that those test trials and test blocks, even in equivalence and transformation, is an opportunity to see, is your participant learning this? Because again, we can teach these skills. We can teach these kids or these participants to memorize things. What is it called on Facebook? You know what? I might have to put the link up. I might be able to see if I can pull it up on here. I know it's with Dr. Megan Miller. I don't remember what the group is called, and I have my phone on live right now, so I can't toggle over. But I will try and put something maybe even on Instagram that cues you guys over to her Do Better movement. I know it's like the hashtag Do Better, but I don't have anything to access it right at this moment. But I'll definitely put that up to you guys, or shoot me an email and I'll make sure to link you up to it. But what I was saying about those test blocks and the test stimuli is that it's just super important to remember that that's your opportunity to see if your participant is really learning. The whole point of Peak is, again, to somebody got it. Professional development movement, Do Better. Okay, so we're really close. Oh, hey, Lisa. Good to see you on here. All right, so yeah, go check that out. How many sets? Hold on, let me look at this question a little bit better. How many sets do we run in the direct module? As in each set is 10 trials for a program. So I'm gonna try and answer your question. Let me know if I'm not getting to it or not. But in direct, you're basically getting to prompt, reinforce, and teach all 10 trials. So you basically have your stimuli. Your stimuli number is gonna kind of vary depending on the program. A lot of times it's like, well, sorry. So for direct, you're probably gonna have like 3 to 5 tops. So you're gonna run them multiple times to fill up that block of 10. And so there is no test trials in direct. In the direct module, that's the one exception. That's a lot like the traditional kind of like ABLEs and stuff like that we've done in ABA traditionally. So like your green book, this one is, there's no test trials in it. It is one block of 10 stimuli that you're prompting, reinforcing, and training these participants on. So that's the big difference with this. So I'll just kind of go through these really quick, just the basics. So that's your direct. Then your generalization one is where you're going to have the block of 10, and you're going to go back and forth between train and test. That was like that guess who one that we just talked about. So you're going to randomize and kind of strategize those blocks out if you want to utilize that. And so that is going to be intermixed in one block. And then when you go to your transformation and your equivalence modules, you're going to have isolated blocks where you're going to have your different steps, and you're going to run more than one block of 10 trials. So you're going to have like one block of 10 trials, which might be like A to B, and those are all train. And then you're going to right back to back, you're going to go straight into, let's say, B to A for a symmetry one, but it's test, and all 10 are test stimuli. So again, you're seeing, did these tools and things that you're teaching, did they learn and understand how to utilize this with a different set of stimuli that does not have any reinforcement or prompting attached to it whatsoever? It's just, can they do it or can't they do it? And you would run through those 10. 0 or 10 is your score. That's it, your test block. So that's kind of how that varies. I think I missed a question on here. If a client has master transformation with 4 classes, should you add more before it is mastered? You know what, and I should have this slide in front of me. There is something that I think got put out with the level 1 training that talks about like how many levels you should do before you master it. I would have to reference that and bring that back in for the next chat just because I don't want to misquote it. I know like for direct though, when you're talking about things like with letters and numbers, you're gonna run the gamut. So if you're doing letter sounds, you need to make sure you've checked all the letter sounds, so to speak. For some of the other stimuli, for like direct, I think it was like going up to the 4th level if possible for some of them. So it kind of varied. That I will have to reference and bring back just so that I can give you guys a better answer next time. So say I'm running 5C and I run 10 training trials and I'm done. So if you're running 5C, I'm assuming you're meaning in direct, and you're running the 10 training trials, then yes, that is, you know, typically that would be done for that program for that day. Now there are times that we run so some participants we have might have a very intensive program where they might be getting 2 sessions a day or something like that. And again, it's totally unique to your situation, but there might be opportunity where we run it once in the morning and we run it once in the afternoon or something like that. As far as like mastery of programs, I think that there's a lot of that within the training. But I think too, it's, you know, again, really important to look at, you know, are they getting all of the test stimuli? So sometimes we'll get a 93 days in a row, but there's like one little test stimuli that kiddo or participant just is not getting. So we kind of try and like to leave no stone unturned. So what we might have to do, if let's say there's just like one persistent test stimuli that just is not getting figured out for whatever reason, and it might honestly be our issue with we picked a bad stimuli, if it just, there wasn't enough closeness in feature function compared to what was over on the train side, and it didn't transfer over. What we were teaching them was just too far apart between the train and test stimuli, and it was just too challenging, and that was kind of something that we needed to fix. But then what we might want to do is bridge the gap where we add more train stimuli to get us closer to what that test stimuli is and keep it pure in test. Or sometimes what we have to do is take that test stimuli and move it over to the train side and teach it and put something else over on the test side, and again, try and bridge it that way. Sorry, another question just popped up. How many programs do you typically have open at a time? I know it depends on the hours, but at least a ballpark. Okay, so for like, we have a participant, and we kind of keep open 5 per module. Again, a lot of it's going to depend on your assessments, kind of where the participants are at, what kind of holes you're needing to fill in on your pyramid, and how much, you know, different types of programming and the factors you're needing to fill in. So, I mean, right now, like I said, we kind of have 5 from each, but that definitely is by all means not the rule to what is needed. If you have a kiddo that's really needing to get a lot of the direct stuff, you might have more of the direct in there than some of the others. But I mean, I do really strongly believe in that it's very recommended for a lot of those kiddos that have hit the generalization minimum on the assessments is to run all 4 modules at the same time. I think you're going to be surprised how many of the little guys and girls are able to get that transformation and equivalent stuff early on with reflexivity and just doing object to object and picture to picture. And again, just broadening their learning scope of how to understand, you know, the world they're in and the things that they're going to have to learn in at school, and working in all those different modalities of, you know, touch, smell, taste, feeling, you know, all that kind of stuff is just really, really cool. And again, another reason I'm a junkie about this programming is just because there's nothing else that kind of hits on all of those different notes and keeps it exciting for you as an implementer, but also for the participant to be a part of it. All right, cool. I think we've got a lot of these answered, I hope. Trying to see. But yeah, I think again, a lot of it is just that clinical call that you guys have to make amongst your team of seeing, okay, what skills are we needing to fill in? And then just kind of working through how to kind of create a good program. I think it also depends, like we talked about, you know, we might have 5 per module, but those are a lot longer sessions that we have with a participant. So we're very fortunate in that aspect. I know a lot of people, though, are in a classroom setting and they have lots of kiddos they're trying to get in. So feel free to chime in if you're one of those people that definitely has a tight window of time per day or in a classroom. You definitely might have a lot less, obviously, that you're able to get to in a day. So you definitely are going to have to vary that just depending on the circumstances and the learning environment that you're in, and things like that. I definitely think like the direct and generalization are much easier to kind of push in and just run wherever. Some of those equivalence and transformation ones, I think you're definitely going to need to pull a participant to kind of a more quiet, subdued area with less distractions, just because there's so much more to focus on. I think it's a lot of, you know, kind of thinking about if you're trying to learn French or a new language or something very foreign to you, being in a busy environment for anybody, you know, it'd be really hard to learn that like in a mall when everybody's, you know, shopping around you and eating their food and, you know, whatever else. So just kind of keep some of that stuff in mind. Okay, so yeah, Kathy said I have 10 to 15 minutes to do peak with each student. So she has like 2 programs. Sorry, these comments don't stay up here very long. 2 programs at a time, less programs daily have been better with 3 to 5-year-olds they teach. Yeah, so I totally get it. That's why I say the circumstances change. Suggestions for taste and smell for kids with different sensitivities. Yeah, that's a good question. What kind of sensitivities? I mean, we've had participants that struggle with, let's say, smelling something. So like smelling in and getting them to sniff is sometimes a challenge. So I think you'll see on YouTube and on our Instagram that we've had to do like color bottles or like condiment bottles where you actually like puff it into their face to kind of force them to inhale it. I mean, as far as sensitivities, you might have to kind of clarify a little bit. I mean, definitely keep in mind if you have a participant that has diet restrictions or things like that, gluten braces, etc. Yeah, so definitely make accommodations for that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can basically use anything. I mean, for taste, you could even use, I'm trying to think of like some other, so taste, you could do different juices. I know you have to be careful of sugar, so I'd have to like think on this a little bit longer, but you could basically use anything that fits the category of what they could typically eat or drink, you can use. We've used spices from spice shops, smells from candle shops. I know I did, I think, an unboxing at one point for the different scents that we've sprayed on cotton balls. We've sprayed on, I tried to find flavor strips, but can't find any. I don't know if I've seen the flavor strips. I think I've seen the like crystals for different like flavors and stuff like that have been used. There's like lemon and lime. I think there's different like fruit ones that are like dissolvable crystals you can put on the tongue. I think it was called like True Lemon and some of those. But again, you'd have to look at what some of the ingredients are to just make sure it's safe for your participant. But yeah, I mean, pretty much anything imaginable you could use for the taste and smell components for these. It just kind of depends on how they're willing to take it in. Okay. Well, I would say I'll just kind of stay on here a little bit longer to see if anyone has any additional questions. I kind of didn't anticipate this one to go super long just because it's the first one. I just wanted to hear from you guys and see what you were needing. So definitely if you have any like last minute things that you really want this utilized for, let me know. If you're wanting to see live scoring, if you're wanting to see pre-assessment stuff, anything like that, you know, please definitely try and shoot that up on here so that I can kind of see what you're looking for content wise for next week. Like I said, I'm going to try and get on here every week. Hopefully it's not too much of me just talking to myself. I definitely want to be helping you guys and answering your questions. Yeah, so how often I was planning on doing it every Tuesday night. Again, I'm happy to adjust the time if, you know, it's not working for everybody or the majority of the people. I know some weren't able to get on tonight because of conflicting things. Hopefully you'll be able to watch it back though. I would say if you're watching it back and you're not on here live and you have things that you want to see for next week, please email me or send me a message just so that I can have it prepped and ready for next week, and then that'll kind of fill the content for the hour next week. Let's see, I saw something pop up and it disappeared. I'd love to see organization of the materials. Okay, cool. Daytime availability. Hi, Damien. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely look at some daytime availability. We can kind of scatter these out and book them a little bit differently every week, depending on availability. As far as like daytime stuff, I could do Monday or a weekend, but those are really the only daytime things I could do live for like a good chunk of time. But that's definitely a possibility. I think that if there's enough need for it, I'm happy to be flexible and do that. Oh, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, so she pointed out there is some organization and stuff on the YouTube channel that we've kind of showed how to create some of the materials, how to keep them organized, stuff like that. I would say 90% of our stuff is Ziploc bags and labels. But I can definitely kind of run through some other like organizational things, you know, next week when we're on here. We might have a little bit of time still here that I can talk about it. It kind of depends on the forum you're kind of working on. So like we're sometimes in home, sometimes we're at school, so we'll have like a big rolling bag that we can stick all the Ziploc bags into. A huge 3-ring binder is great. I'm huge on color coding. I think they're merging it back and forth. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll bring some of that assessment stuff down here next week. And try and run through some of that. I would say that's even something that takes me a little while to fill out some of the booklet stuff and just kind of getting used to. I know they've kind of had some updates and some different changes. I think we're about to get a little bit of a change again with some of the standardization stuff, which is great. So it's just kind of keeping up with the next thing. So yeah, we can definitely try and keep looking at that and send me any other specific questions for those. For the organization stuff, though, I was saying that a lot of times we have them kind of binned out for each of the modules. So like we'll have a direct bin, a generalization bin, transformation, and equivalence, and then we just have everything in Ziploc bags for the most part. I would say like 90% of our materials we put in a Ziploc bag, we label it train or test with a label, and what program module it is, the letter and number, so 6A, transformation, train, stimuli, test stimuli, and then we put it all in one bag. And so then when we're going like to and from a home or a school, we can just throw it into a rolling bin, pull them out as we need to. I mean, our kiddos, frankly, a lot of times like helping us reorganize and clean them up and put them in the right bags, and you get those slip bags from Ziploc, which are easy for everyone to use. So that's like our big, I would say, organizational piece. And then the big binder, lots of page protectors, and having that program sheet kind of flipped backwards in the page protector, so it's face up next to your scoring sheets, and that's super, super helpful too. I saw something come up. Oh, getting through the full assessment quickly. Let's see. Okay, so assessment questions. In some of the trainings, they might be able to answer some of these a little bit better. I will say a lot of the assessments I run through completely with the participants. I really like to just kind of have a baseline and to kind of keep track of, you know, okay, are some of these lucky answers? Are they really understanding? Are we making a difference here? And kind of analyzing that a little bit more. And so sometimes when I have, you know, the assessment piece where I stop after some incorrects, like, you know, it has me do, I kind of get bummed later on that like I didn't have the data for the rest of it, even though if they bombed it, it's still kind of just neat to see that that growth and that progress for everybody, and it's just good for me to like run through them from start to finish each time. And then a lot of times we video them. I mean, definitely you have to get releases, do what you need to do for each participant and kind of the circumstances that you're in. But that's something that I find really helpful too, is being able to kind of utilize that for a teaching strategy for myself. And for other therapists that are on the team. Most compatible electronic data collection. That's a good question. I've seen that quite a bit. I will be honest, I'm not sure if there is a good one. When I first started utilizing Peak, we were using Catalyst, and I know you were able to kind of go in there and hand do a lot. I will be honest, I am still an old school paper and pencil still, transferring everything into Excel and graphing and analyzing everything via that way. I know Dr. Dixon had put up some stuff from Christina. I'll have to look back and see what all that was and what the links were for that. I know from, I think it was like Paradigm Behavior, she had some cool stuff that she had created herself. So I can try and link some of that to the Instagram or Facebook and follow up with some of you guys if you're interested in that. Oh, yeah, so somebody said I'm liking Christina's PDF. So, yeah, I know there's some things out there. I just don't know as if there's anything that, like, kind of does it all for everybody. Let's see. I wish these comments would stay up. Sorry, guys, it's taken me a while to read through these. What if over time a participant does not learn the test stimuli? When do you decide to teach the test? Yeah, that's a tough question. You kind of have to use... Hey, guys, I'm sorry. Technical difficulties. Okay, so you're going to see my really creepy basement now, by the way, because I'm at a different angle. We use Catalyze and utilize the quantity target type. Yeah, so cool. So some people are having luck with Catalyst, it looks like. Yep, I really enjoy Catalyst. Cool. So yeah, I think Central Reach I've heard about. I've not personally used it, so I don't know a ton about it. Christina's PDFs I've heard good things about. I still need to check that out a little bit more. I checked it out when they first kind of came out and she was talking to me about them, but we haven't utilized them live. I think there might be some rumor of some other things coming out for data collections and stuff like that for Peak, but I will have to get an update on that before I like speak to it. Test stimuli. When do you decide to teach the test stimuli? So I kind of used this example earlier. If you're kind of getting close to mastery and you basically have like one test stimuli that's just like not working for some reason, the participant's not catching on, it might be one of those things that it's too far apart from what your trained stimuli looks like. You might do one of two things. If, like I said, it's kind of the last one that's holding it up, you technically could master it because you're at a 90, you've got your 9-10s, but just this one little guy that's not working out. Move it over to the train side if you need to. Add a couple other test stimuli, kind of create that bridge that's closer together to get that learning skill transferred, or keep it on the test side is ideal and adding more trained stimuli on to try and bridge it. So again, you're going to just kind of have to use your judgment. I feel like if you've gotten to the point where you're just not making any progress on it, then you might need to look into something like that. If they're kind of getting it here and there, kind of have to be careful sometimes too that the stimuli isn't too reinforcing for the participant. That can kind of create distraction and affect some of it also. So try and kind of keep some of that in mind. Hopefully that kind of helps answer that question. Let's see what else. Oh, I finally figured out how to keep the comments up here without them disappearing. It's only like 49 minutes into it and I finally have figured this out. Um, okay, so anything else kind of as we're getting closer to things that you guys want to see next week? It looked like some assessment stuff, some organizational stuff, maybe see if I can get an update on collecting peak data more electronically. So I'll kind of try and focus on some of those things for next week. And I'll just, like I said, try and do this every week with you guys. There might be, I know I got a Disney trip coming up in 2 weeks, so I might take that week off. But I'll just kind of try and keep doing this every week with you guys and try and answer as many of your questions as I can. If there's a question, like I said, I can't answer, I'll try and, touch base with somebody over at SIUC or get a hold of Dixon if I can and try and see if I can get stuff answered. You guys have my email now. I know I said it on here earlier, so I'll just shoot it out there again in case you guys need it for something. It's my name, Lindsey Holtzman, Lindsey, Holtzman, HOLTSMAN @gmail.com. And so feel free, you can send me questions on there or requests for next week. Like I said, we're doing a YouTube taping on Thursday with one of my Peak girls, so if there's anything in particular you are like urgently needing, I know that one Abstraction 7J one I'll get up. Like I said, I just found that in archive. It was taped a long time ago and I somehow missed it. So I should be able to get that one up probably tomorrow. So I will make that a priority though, because I've had several people ask me about that one, and I do know it's kind of tricky reading it and not seeing it live. So, but yeah, I mean, I just kind of keep recommending to you guys getting on the Facebook forum, shooting out questions, staying in contact with one another, trying to get on to the level 1 training. Who's missing video? Is that the 9L one that you were asking about, Christine? Just kind of let me know. I'm thinking that was the one we were talking about earlier that you were wanting to see. Yep, yeah, I think that's one of those that it kind of is going to be easier to see it live than trying to verbally explain it. So yeah, I will add that to the list. I'll pull out probably my Guess Who game and pull my weird character cards out. But again, I would say too, for a lot of those, you can definitely use the cartoon kind of stuff. I really like to get on Google Images. I might kind of phone it in this week and just pull out my Guess Who guys. But I a lot of times just create my own materials, laminate it, file it. When I'm done with programs and have mastered it out, I still even keep them bagged and put them away. There are a lot of times that I'll have created materials by hand and I can kind of just shop in my closet and pull stuff out. Have you seen the new material? Yeah, so I think somebody's asking about the kits. Have you seen the new materials? It would be great to see the difference. Yeah, I have actually not gotten a kit before. Yes, I think Alicia's at, I'm sorry, I don't know if I even said your name right. The comment disappeared. Yeah, I'm thinking this person's asking about the kits that are for sale. I think there's only a direct kit out right now. Again, I would say if you have material questions or you're looking for consult or something, you could definitely email me and, that way. I'm not sure if there are any other kits up right now that are for sale for the other modules. I know there's a lot of different things floating around the forum that you can kind of network with people that way and get ideas and kind of put things together that way. I mean, for me at least, I kind of run through all 4 modules and I just kind of create as I go. I definitely have my go-to box of like cards and things that I cycle through. And like I said, some of that nesting stuff. I try and post even on Instagram a lot of my like go-to just kind of materials to have on hand. That might be helpful, that you can kind of pull some stuff off of Amazon. I know a lot of people even go to Goodwill and Dollar Tree, and I posted some stuff off of the Target like dollar spot. I found like a bunch of instruments and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, Kathy's talking about the kit could be helpful, but it's fun to make it as a comprehensive book. Oh, I see. Well, I might have to look at what's, this is awful that I don't know this offhand. Let me do my research. You might need to email me. So the comprehensive book, so that's, I'm guessing, the new assessment that's been standardized. Well, this is bad because I'm actually in charge of PO orders now, purchase order stuff, and I should know how much all of it costs and what's available. So let me do my homework on that and see what exactly is all included in that and what the cost of it is. I don't know if that's the standardized assessment stuff, if that's what's for 500, or if that's the whole, like, all the peak modules. So let me look into that. Again, if you have any further info or questions that I'm not following up on here right now, please shoot me an email. I don't want to, like, leave you hanging and not follow up on it. So if you've asked on here and you still want, like, a good answer about it, email me and I will try and look at that a little bit closer and see if I can kind of help you out that way. The new comprehensive assessment. Okay, so Lisa looks like she got on there really fast. So yeah, I'm guessing that that is then the new assessment stuff. So that's going to be the standardized version of the assessments. So that's going to be really cool because I think that's probably what all, like, the age norm stuff is going to be compared to. All of, like, the research that they're doing over at the clinic. They're probably beta testing it there, and then they'll have everything to kind of compare within that, is what I'm assuming. I can kind of talk to some of the researchers over there, though, and see if I can get kind of more information on, like, what the benefits of it are. But I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of research coming out on it, especially since it will be completely standardized. Because I know somebody had asked about the full assessment and how to kind of stay organized and running through it pretty quickly. I will say our biggest thing with it is having kind of the kit ready to go at all times. We definitely freshen it up with the food and stuff if we're running it not for, like, another 6 months or something. We don't want the smells to be funky. You'd be surprised. You need to keep your smells very separated and bagged because they will contaminate one another, and it's not pretty. My team will laugh about this because we've had some very very horrible smells that have come out of mixing of bags and stuff. But I think it's practicing. You got to practice this stuff. I know it's funky to, like, be sitting at home, and I have a 3 and a 4-year-old. I run this stuff on them. I run it on my husband. I run it on teammates. I mean, my mom. I mean, honestly, like, that is, I think, the biggest thing is practicing it. Even if you're just running it with yourself and a stuffed animal, like, I don't even care. You do some weird stuff sometimes, but I think that you have to run through this stuff, practice it, troubleshoot it, get fluid with it, make sure you're organized, make sure you have everything you need right there, and then just kind of getting used to it that way. I think the more you guys are hands-on with this, the more comfortable you're going to be. I know that's my personal experience with it, is just running it and running it and running it and just diving into it, and just trying to understand it the best that I can, and working on it with other people. So hopefully that'll kind of help you guys. But again, those standardized assessments are probably going to take a lot of, I think I have to look at it all. I should be getting a copy of it soon. But I think that those standardized assessments, that kit that one of the people on here is talking about, should, I think, be taking out all of those modalities that you're going to have to kind of fumble between to get the assessments done. Don't quote me on that. I need to double check it, but I'm pretty sure that'll take care of all of that. And again, just standardize it all within a book. All the books are contained, I think, in one binding, and you just run through them that way. Yeah, you can definitely organize things based on materials. Again, I mean, sometimes you kind of have your set go-to things for, like, direct. It's a little bit more of, like, the picture cards and the color cards and your foundational skills and just kind of, like, things that that you need to have ready. And then some of the other stuff you can have, like, stacking blocks and different things ready. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can organize it. Sorry, my chair is spitting, so this is probably, like, going all over the place. But I think you have to do what works best for you, for the clinic, the site that you're at, things like that. We basically have a closet that we kind of warehouse everything into, either if it's mastered or on hold or whatever it is, and kind of have, like, a pantry of stuff in there as well. And then just as we kind of create and go, we just kind of keep pulling things and getting our closet kind of stocked. So I definitely don't think you need to feel like you have to have everything on hand at all times. I think a lot of times we're just creative and on the fly and looking in our office or in our drawers for just materials that we can use for the program. And then I think it's, you know, very affordable and you can just use what you have around. So that's really cool about it too. Well, I think we are about at an hour now, guys, and I'm not really seeing any more questions popping up. So kind of like another minute if you got any last minute questions you want to jump on here with. But I think when I click off of here, it'll hopefully shoot over to the YouTube channel, and I'll just kind of file these into a folder. But I definitely think, you know, be looking on Facebook for those updates. I'm pretty sure in May they're going to be pushing out some new stuff for the trainings. But I definitely think that that is a great thing to do. I know it's an investment to be, you know, more formally trained and certified in Peak, but I just think that getting that hands-on training, I think is just going to be very, very helpful with that level 2 piece. So build yourselves up to it. You know, start with the level 1 that'll hopefully be online and have some different coursework and stuff on there for you to kind of get the basic understanding of everything. And then that level 2 piece will be a ton of the hands-on, running the assessments on each other, running programs on each other, kind of creating materials together and working on kind of how to set up your books and stuff like that, hopefully too, scoring. But get on YouTube, make sure you're watching those videos, practice scoring, stuff like that, and hopefully that'll keep helping you guys too. So I guess I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for joining me tonight and being guinea pigs with me to kind of check out. I'll fix some of these glitches that we had tonight, hopefully, and you know, shoot me an email or whatever you guys need following up, and I will see you guys here next week at the same time.